Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to mix and match. We're going to use stamps, stencils, free printable, and napkins. So I'm working in my 7x10 Canson Mixed Media art journal, and I've taken the pages out of the coiled book, and then I assemble it when it's all done. Now this napkin I absolutely love. It just makes me happy. The colors, everything about it. And I'm going to use it as an instant background for my art journal page. This is a great way to jumpstart your art journal page. You don't have to get out pinks or anything. There's patterns already there. And this kind of napkin is just perfect. It's called Daisies Blue, and it's available at NinnysNapkins. There's a link in the description box if you're interested in getting any napkins or other mixed media art journaling supplies. So I left the plies on when I cut. I find that that stabilizes the napkin. And then before I glue it down, you absolutely need to remove those two plies. Don't forget, you can save those plies, you can stamp sentiments on them, and then glue that on to your page where the napkin goes translucent and what you stamp is very clear. So I'm putting a coat of fluid matte medium underneath it, putting the napkin down, and then I'm putting the saran wrap on top, and this helps get rid of the wrinkles. You don't have the friction on from your fingers that can sometimes tear the napkin when it's wet, but you want to make sure that there's no glue on your napkin, the top of the napkin. So once everything's smooth, I'm going to give it another coat of fluid matte medium. I want to seal this. When it's dry, I flip the page over and I'm cutting off the excess napkin. I'm going to save that piece because I really like this napkin and I have lots of ideas for it. So this daisy is a free printable from supercoloring.com. I get a lot of printables that I use on my art journal pages from this site, so you may want to check it out. So I've start cutting on the outside with scissors, and you can cut the whole thing out that way. But I like to use an X-Acto knife, especially on the internal parts. And if you cut out the center parts before you cut on the outside, it's way more stable, and you'll find that those center parts are easier to cut up. Because remember, I'm cutting that very, very thin stem. Now, if it rips, I know I can glue it down and piece it together, so I'm not overly worried. But this is a good trick. Do the center parts first with an X-Acto knife or scissors, if that's what you prefer, and then do the outside. So now I have my daisy, and I was going to just put the daisy, and I was going to put the saying, oopsie daisy. Super simple. And then I thought of another sentiment that I saw when I was doing a search of daisy sayings that said, in a field of daisies, be a wildflower. And I got the idea of, oh, maybe if I put the stamped image of one of these crazy birds in the middle of this flower, that would go with the saying. So that's what I'm doing. I kind of tried it out a little bit, and then I am now taking this third daisy here and cutting out some of the parts so that I could layer in the crazy bird stamped image. So I hope in this video you see how you can take a daisy napkin, a daisy printable, a daisy stamp, and stencil, and even though they're all made by different companies and come from different sources, you can combine them to really make your own mixed media or art journal piece your own. So this part of the daisy, I'm playing with the orientation, and I spend a lot of time looking, do I like it here, do I like it there? I stop, I take pictures with my camera, and then I look, do I like this one better or do I like that one better? So I'm torn between putting part of the daisy here or on the other side. And then I decide not to make a decision and get another printable printed, and I cut out the petals. And I do both. And that gives a little more substance. It makes the crazy bird a little bit bigger than the other daisies. And I like that because that's the major focal point. So then I went and I typed out, played with fonts, the sentiment, "In a field of daisies, be a wildflower." Again, I'm playing with the orientation and moving the daisies a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. And then once I decide, I'm using fluid matte medium to glue them down. Now, my daisies are printed on just regular copy paper. I don't want anything too thick that bulks up my art journal. So I don't do it on mixed media paper or tagboard or cardstock. But if that's what you like to use, go ahead. I'm cutting off the excess around the bird for this application and playing with exactly how this goes. And when I glued the daisy down, I glued the part that I knew where it was going, and then I left this open so I can just make sure I get everything where it needs to go. Go slow when you're trying to do this. Take your time and go step by step. It works. It comes together. Just don't try to rush it. Now I know I'm going to overpaint on top of the printables, and I'm going to paint the crazy bird. So I know when I start doing that, I'm going to hide any imperfections that appeared. And I'm just gluing down the sentiment. I'm thinking now I should have made that whole saying the same size as the word daisies. Now I'm starting the overpainting process, and I am using a small round brush or small angle brush, I'm not even sure, and I am using just white gesso, and I am pretty much just globbing it on. I'm going right off the top. I'm not worried if I go over the edge. And I'm going to, my plan is to put in several layers of this to get fairly opaque petals. So I go over one and I let the other one dry, and then I move on to the second daisy, then the third daisy, which is what you see me doing right here. This, by globbing it on, I'm getting a lot of texture from the gesso. It's giving a little bit of dimension to the art journal page. Here I'm just adding some petals. So you can either, if some petals got cut off, you could put them back. So now I'm painting the centers yellow, and I'm just matching the kind of yellows that are on the daisy pattern from the napkin. But I'm going to use several shades of yellow. This one I think is cadmium yellow. Then I come in with yellow oxide. Then I think I go to orange, and then I end up with burnt sienna. Using multiple shades of the same color is a good technique because it doesn't look as flat. If you just go with one color, it just looks flat and uninteresting. And so when you use more colors, you get lots of variation, and that's what beefs it up just that little bit. So here I'm adding the burnt sienna, And then I'm adding a little bit of that to the daisies on the napkin. Because just because it's how it is on the napkin doesn't mean I can't tweak those colors. And because everything is sealed, I put a coat of matte medium on it. If I make a mistake or I want to erase something, I can do that. Here I'm shading the crazy bird, and look how he's just popping. Your eye goes there. I want your eye to go to the crazy bird. Here I'm just adding more white gesso to this daisy. Making it more and more opaque. After giving it a good dry, now I'm going to colorize the leaves, and I'm coming in with my favorite green, which is Hooker's Green. I'm mixing that with gesso, and I'm kind of globbing it on a little bit heavy. I want darks and lights, so that's why I'm mixing the Hooker's Green with the white gesso. And then I'm adding a little bit of black to it as well. And that gives me another shade or tone. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is. I'm not a formally trained artist. So if I misspeak the terms, I apologize. So I'm just adding some black here. Again, I want different tones or shades of that same color, just to make it more interesting on my page. Now I'm shading with black, especially the crazy bird. I want him to really pop off the page. That's where I want your eyes to go, and as I've shaded it, that's where it goes. Now I'm shading the leaves as well with the black and my angle brush. And then I grab the General's charcoal pencil, and I'm putting a sketchy line around the petals of the daisies. Now you could have left this out if you wanted to. I think that putting those black lines in adds to it. It's a personal preference because I want the whole focal image to be outlined in black, and because I've globbed on the gesso, that's really rough, and that just helps get a more sketchy line. Now I'm using the charcoal pencil. Charcoal, I'm using a medium. I should have grabbed the hard because that will fall apart less. There's less smudgeability. I don't want my white daisies to get terribly smudged. But I like the sketchy line. So I know I'm not going in and putting anything wet right now. So now's a good time to put the charcoal or the Stabilo L pencil if that's what you have. I decide to smudge around the outside with the charcoal pencil, and that really, it starts ripping the napkin. So I'm looking for my woodless charcoal pencil. It's a little softer and a little darker, and I'm putting that on to edge my page and frame it. And you can see how much faster this works than the General's charcoal. I should have grabbed this woodless charcoal pencil. Is giving finer lines, and I like the look of it. Now I know for next time. There are also links to the basic art journaling supplies that I use in the Amazon links. Thank you for shopping through my links. When you go through any of these affiliate links, I do get a small commission, but it doesn't change your price. So shop around and make sure you get the best price for yourself. Now I decided I wanted to add these daisies from this Posies in a Row stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. This was my original idea, and I almost said, oh, you know, I like it the way it is, but I'm so glad that I'm stenciling these on with Prussian blue. It's a dark navy-ish type of blue. It just added that little extra contrast to the background, and it made it totally mine now, because it isn't just the napkin, I've added to it. So you can take whatever the napkin designers give you and tweak it. You can change the colors, you can add patterns to it as you see fit. I'm liking the blue look, so I'm coming in with my makeup sponge and some Prussian blue and giving a soft blue haze around the edge. I'm liking that better than the straight on black. And then I come in to shade this part with my angle brush because I can't do the makeup sponge to get on that edge, and I go around the outside edge. And because I'm loving the blue, I also do some shading around the focal image with the angle brush. This technique, I'm doing a lazy man's shading. It's called floating acrylic. If you search in my YouTube channel for shading or floating acrylic, you'll get the video where I teach this technique. It's a good one to learn. You'll use it on every page. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love how this art journal page has turned out. This would look cute on a canvas or a wood panel in a child's bedroom. Just peeling off the tape by putting the heat on it. That helps so it doesn't lift up the paper, although it still did a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, ask me a question, share the video with your creative friends. Until next time, go get creative.